Yeah, good morning, Gerald. The bonus program funding the project BaltCOAST builds the framework of science for a better future of the Baltic Sea region. Which role does the project BaltCOAST play for that matter?
BaltCOAST is addressing a recent call, and the call was called Integrated Approaches to Coastal Management. And BONUS is a program that helps to further develop research in the Baltic Sea. It's jointly funded by EU and national funding agencies. BaltCOAST stands for a systems approach framework for coastal research and management in the Baltic.
And what are the major challenges of the project?
I think it is well known that coastal areas are foci areas for many human uses, for economic activities, but they are very valuable ecosystems as well and important for human health. What we observe is an increase in different uses. So we have, for example, here in northern Germany, more and more tourists coming to the sea. There is a pressure on the house markets, on accommodations. At the same time, we have new uses developing, such as wind farms or aquaculture. And at the same time, we see new challenges and pressures coming, like climate change and the associated sea level rise. And this causes erosion, reduces the space we have at the coast, and increasing pressure of users on one side and less space causes a kind of coastal squeeze. And this coastal squeeze requires an integrated management, a management that is not dealing with single issues, but takes care of the complexity of the entire system. And this is done by an integrated coastal zone management.
How will BaltCOAST support this integrated coastal management?
What we see is that the ideas of an ICZM are present in many directives, in strategies. But if we have a look into practice, then we see that the implementation of measures in the coastal zone very often are single issue oriented. So the complexity is not taken into account, and the ideas of ICZM are not implemented. And the question is now, how does this come? A guided stepwise process that helps people to come from the recognition of a problem towards the solution is lacking. And they need tools that help them to carry out each step. The major idea in BaltCOAST is to further develop a systems approach framework. And within the systems approach framework, we have a so-called ecological, economic, social assessment. And this is exactly the stepwise approach. It helps people in the beginning to become aware of a problem, to define a problem, to have a look how does this problem interacts with others, and how would possible solutions interact and affect the total system. So one becomes aware of the complexity of the system. One develops scenarios, alternative options to solve the problem, and then carries out a modeling to have a look how will these single scenarios look like in practice. So what will be the result for the entire coastal system? So this is then more or less already the output of this ESE assessment, and this is followed by an implementation, by a monitoring, and later by an assessment of the success. And BaltCOAST provides this strategy, the stepwise process, and the tools to help the practitioners.
And will there be practical applications? Could you please mention some examples?
Yeah, to be sure that BaltCOAST and the tools we are developing have a practical meaning for local areas, we have 6 case studies. They have relevant topics addressed, like coastal protection management, like fisheries, like bathing water quality and the reopening of beaches, for example in the Coronian Lagoon. And in the Oder Lagoon at the German-Polish border, we are dealing with the possibility of mussel farming on one hand as an economic business, on the other hand, more important, as a measure to reduce eutrophication of the lagoon.
And what will be the benefit for the society or for your authorities?
What we observed during the last decades is that in many cases it takes 20-30 years from the recognition of a problem, the definition of an issue, until the implementation. This is true for many restoration projects along the coast. This was okay in the past, but in the future we don't have the time anymore. Climate change is putting a lot of pressure on us. Sea level is rising quite fast, so we need to be more efficient. And by developing and offering a stepwise process, we hope that we can reduce the time needed to come from the recognition of a problem until its solution and the implementation of measures. So we want to reduce resources used in terms of money and in terms of staff involvement.
And how do you make your results visible to ensure that the Baltic Sea community will be reached?
In general, our research results are directed to different communities, the scientific communities, and this means we have to publish high-ranking papers. We will attend conferences, host conferences ourselves, and on the other hand, we would like to reach the broad public, and to raise awareness, we have a photo competition, we have publicly available journals, and we have a website with comprehensive information about the project. And the bonus portal itself serves as an umbrella and supports our dissemination strategy.
Gerald, my final question. You have been involved in several ICZM projects in the past. Does bonus BaltCOAST create a major challenge for you?
Yes, in a certain way, because we are dealing with partners from different countries. BaltCOAST allows us to create a joint community, a joint scientific community in the Baltic, and to closely work together and develop our ideas jointly. But this is not always easy. This requires a lot of communication and interaction.
Thank you.